Hello and welcome. We come to you today from Bangalore that over the years and more specifically this Lok Sabha election is witnessing a paradigm shift in the kind of people getting into the cesspool of Indian politics. Over the next half hour, we will examine what the entry of these technocrats, these new age politicians will mean for Bangalore and India's political ecosystem.
All is fair in love and elections. At this job fair in Basavanguddi locality in his Bangalore South Lok Sabha constituency, Nandan Nilekani is playing true to his image of a successful entrepreneur who created jobs for the youth and wealth for his shareholders. The Congress candidate would hope that the first-time voters, most of them too much in awe of him, would lend him a helping hand this election. Nilekani, who till the second week of March was the chairman of the Unique Identity Authority of India, is banking on his image of a person who has an excellent track record marshalling software troops at Infosys and giving Aadhaar cards to 60 crore Indians since 2009. Hopes will help him upset the apple cart of his formidable BJP rival Anant Kumar.
My USP is that I'm clean, I'm capable, I've accomplished things in business, I've accomplished things in government, I've accomplished things in urban governance, and I'm also local. I was born in Bangalore.
This election, Nilekani will feel at home because there are many of his ilk occupying slots on the EVM. He only has to saunter across to his neighborhood in Bangalore Central, where fellow Infosician V. Balakrishnan, former CFO of the IT major, is contesting on an Aam Aadmi Party ticket. Balakrishnan, who considers AAP to be the best startup by an IITian, is helping the party frame its economic policy, and at 48 feels staying outside the political system and criticizing does not help improve matters. Hence the decision to wear the Aam Aadmi topi and throw his hat into the electoral ring.
When you work in a corporate world, you have a set of stakeholders, very defined. You know who your shareholders are, you know who your employees are, you know who your customers are. But in the political world, every other person you meet may be your stakeholder. And everybody may have a view on what you are doing, whether right or wrong. So talking to them, convincing them or agreeing with them is a new perspective you gain in your life.
Students in BPAC, they have to learn.
Further up, in Bangalore North, Rajiv Gowda, a professor of economics and social sciences at IIM Bangalore, would have joined the club but for his loss in the Congress primaries. Nilekani himself will be up against highly respected child rights activist Neena Nayak, fighting on the AAP ticket.
What would you say, the plus and the minus of a Nandan Nilekani or a Balakrishnan? How would you rate the pluses and minuses?
I think both of them come from the same background. I think they're good friends too, and they're going to come and I think it's about convincing the people. It's about how much, what is the image on the ground. But you know that the party that Mr. Nandan Nilekani represents is nothing to talk about. So people know about it, 66 years of rule, and what kind of misrule is happening. The UPA really hasn't given us much. So I think people will then decide.
Captain G.R. Gopinath, the pioneer of low-cost aviation in India with Air Deccan in 2003, is another entrant into the political space with AAP, but is not contesting elections this time around.
I was very clear that that if I'm contesting, that I must completely give up all my business, which I'm not in a position to do now, right now. And I thought there'll be a conflict of interest. So that's one of the main reasons why I did not want to join, because I still have the dreams of doing something and creating jobs. Because today I think the biggest charity is to create jobs. And but you need not be a businessman or a journalist and end there. You can still be a political activist. And I thought that you need farmers, you need bakers, you need masons, you need journalists, But you also need to get them to be politically, not only aware, politically active wherever possible. So I thought I should be politically active by supporting a party, and that's what I did.
In India's Silicon Valley, this Lok Sabha election is witnessing a shift in the kind of people bravely stepping into the cesspool of Indian politics. It is as if these debutants have decided to change the political discourse, idiom and ecosystem in Bangalore with a vengeance.
Real change in this country will have to come through the political process. That as a technocrat, I'd sort of reached the limit of the change I could initiate. I had to have a popular political legitimacy.
Bangalore has been a BJP bastion for some years now. All the sitting MPs from the 3 urban Bangalore constituencies are from the BJP. Nilekani will be trying to upset the apple cart of Anant Kumar, who has been a 5-time MP from Bangalore South. The BJP, however, is dismissive of the new entrants, saying they cannot compare apples with oranges.
Political field is entirely different from that of the technocrat field or some other field, IT field or something like that. Practically, of course, social service is part and parcel of the political, but just doing some other work in some other area which doesn't have any connections with the politics or the present activities of the governance. So how they can be brought in and they can be branded as the politicians or the so-called leaders? They can't represent any people. They have never felt the pulse of the people at any point of time.
A criticism Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah doesn't agree with.
To me, the voters of Bangalore South are fed up with Anant Kumar because Anant Kumar's image is not very good. And he was involved in corruption charges and all that. See, people wanted it clean and having clean image and other such things. And as far as Nandan Kane is concerned, he is having a clean image and there is an ambition to serve the people.
On the poll campaign, the personal worth of the likes of Nandan Nilekani at 7,700 crores and Balakrishna at 180 crores makes it easier for their rivals and critics to label them elitist. They accuse them of belonging to the upper strata of society and having no connection with the problems of the urban poor.
Living the life of a rich urban middle class Indian, he is very wealthy, so he doesn't feel the pain of high inflation. I don't think they go to the market and buy sabji anytime, so it doesn't matter. They live, they travel globally, they do everything, so they don't feel the pain which a person getting 20,000, 25,000 rupees a month who has to bring up 2 children, staying in a lousy place in Bangalore with high rent, he doesn't feel the pain of them. And every time petrol prices goes up, or aloo prices go up, or brinjal prices goes up, you feel the pain. He doesn't feel the pain.
Which is why Nilekani is letting his 16.47 lakh voters browse into his history to emphasize his roots.
I was someone who came from a very humble background. My father was a mill manager. He lost his job when I was 12 years old. I had to go and live with my uncle. When I left IIT, I just had 200 rupees in my pocket. So they see me as someone who was able to achieve a lot from starting from a very humble background. So they see me as someone who can help meet their aspirations. So I find I connect very well.
Ironical that Nilekani should say this today, because in his book, Imagining India, published in 2008, he had described entrepreneurs like him virtually unelectable in India.
For many voters in Bangalore South, it is a dilemma. On the one hand, you have a Nandan Nilekani who promises change for his constituency after 5 terms of an Anant Kumar. And on the other hand, you have the BJP candidate who promises change for the country by electing Narendra Modi as Prime Minister. In other words, it boils down to whether the voters seek a new MP or a new PM.
Together with Nandan
is supporting it.
A volunteer force consisting of hundreds of IT professionals is helping out Nilekani to micro-target the voters.
It's about Nandan Nilekani as a person for Bengaluru, who has always delivered for Bengaluru, and if he's elected, then he can deliver a lot more.
It's not about the Congress.
Not at all. We're absolutely apolitical group, apolitical professional team members, individuals who have come out, spare some time on weekends, weekdays after office hours. We spare 1 or 2 hours, make some phone calls, speak to people, share the bios.
On the streets of Bangalore, different shades of opinion on these political probationers are on offer.
Balakrishnan's key strength is being very systematic in running an organization, ensuring that the funds are not frittered away. Today we are finding that there are tremendous leaks in all the funds allocated for any activity in this country. As we all of us know, that less than 8 naya paise out of a rupee spent for any project reaches the end result. So Mr. Balakrishnan, being a finance man, I am sure that he will do a very good job in ensuring that money allocated for development projects reach the ultimate user.
Urmila Sharma, who is connected to Nandan Nilekani over Facebook, appreciates the fact that he answers to queries online and wants to give him one chance.
You think that he is the right person in the wrong party?
Yeah, that I feel.
Okay.
It always makes a difference because people will always think like, yes, they are always connected towards a party, they're loyal towards one party, and if a wrong person is there in that party, they don't feel like voting for that person. Yeah. So in that way, yeah, he is.
Okay. So will you actually vote for him or not?
I will.
Don't you think that he will be subdued by the Congress party?
Yeah, he will be.
But you still have hope?
Yeah, I'll still vote for him.
But while there is a lot of positive energy for this rather positive corporate influence over Indian politics, there is no dearth of skeptics either. On the other side of the break, we examine if it's just a smokescreen to divert attention from the lack of good work done by different political parties.
While many in Bangalore exult over the presence of a credible alternative, it didn't happen overnight. The incubator to create the right atmosphere was created in 2010 by the anti-corruption movement called SAKU, which means enough in Kannada. Around the same time, Justice Santosh Hegde as the Karnataka Lok Ayukta pushed the envelope by going after the big political fish engaged in illegal mining and shady land deals. By the time Anna Hazare took Delhi by storm in 2011, Bangalore was in the front line, its lung power lending the maximum decibel support.
Yes, interested in action. If you look at my team, the argument is always action, civic action, political action, urban action, because there are a lot of people with ideas. But only when you take that step forward and engage the system and try to bring about change, do you realize the complexities, do you realize the challenges, and how much effort you need to put in to bring about change.
It was only natural then that Bangalore's vibrant civil society decided to take it upon themselves to demand better candidates to choose from in the Karnataka Assembly elections last May. Mohandas Pai and Biocon's Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw formed the BPAC, the Bangalore Political Action Committee, to support clean and deserving candidates and exhort people to vote.
The effect, though, was limited as polling percentage went up only marginally, from 47% in 2008 to 52.8% in 2013 in urban Bangalore.
In the 2013 Karnataka Assembly elections, Lok Satta, a party that stands for and practices clean politics, fielded 15 candidates, most of them professionals, in Bangalore. Not one of them won. But there was a silver lining to their lack of electoral success, that they created the space for the non-conventional politician in Bangalore.
One of the candidates was president of the Bangalore unit of Lok Satta, gynecologist Dr. Meenakshi Bharat.
I think Bangalore was still not ready to make the change. They were still very skeptical about the point that can we actually deliver. As against that, I think Delhi was more evolved, and Delhi took the chance with all the AAP candidates and voted them in.
But then the few thousand votes that each candidate garnered was an admission that Bangalore was on the cusp of change.
Mainstream political parties were forced to alter their conventional dialogue and conventional discourse to be mirroring that, to be consistent with, to make sure that they don't cede space to them. So while these smaller parties may have lost technically an electoral battle, they have won in a sense that they have completely and almost completely or partially changed the way political parties are now looking at voters.
AAP's success story in Delhi in December 2013 proved to be the game changer, the effect of which is being felt in Bangalore in this Lok Sabha elections.
But not everyone is buying into the likes of Nandan Nilekani pushing their case as catalysts of change in Bangalore. The argument is that Bangalore does not really need a rosy vision being painted for it. Instead, it needs someone who will roll up his sleeves and clean the muck of corruption that is pretty much the fountainhead of all problems.
Rajiv Chandrasekhar, the poster boy of Indian Telecom in the 90s, was among the first corporates to embrace politics when he became a Rajya Sabha MP in 2006. The entry of candidates like Nilekani, he reckons, is Congress Party's window dressing to distract the debate on quality of governance in the last 10 years.
With no offense to Nandan, I think this is typical strategy of trying to spin a vision when people want specifics. It is not very unlike what Rahul Gandhi is doing, which is people want specific answers to issues of corruption and governance, and you go instead and give them all this other gyan of vision. It is not an unusual political strategy, but I think this election it may not work.
Though
campaign material like these emphasize Nilekani's son of the soil credentials, the perception about this former IT czar is still a mixed bag, because the medium of verbal communication is still largely English and very little Kannada.
Language is one important thing, in the sense that for the same message that you carry, all of the progressive reforms that you want to bring, all of the clean record that you have, to actually communicate that to people in a legitimate political way, that I am a real alternative. You can quarrel with my faults now, you can quarrel with my faults later, but I'm speaking to you in your own words, and I'm not that much into English all the time. That part actually connects to people. So even I don't see that happening as much in Bangalore today.
Today Mr. Balakrishnan, MP Lok Sabha candidate, is with us. Please vote for him, please support him. Vote for Aam Aadmi Party, vote for the Jhadu Nishan. Get the clean guy into the system. Bala sir.
The other huge challenge will be to ensure that the party apparatus that looks at the likes of Nilekani and Gowda as outsiders who managed a lateral entry helps their cause.
Mr. Balakrishnan, who was the former Infosys Chief Financial Officer. Clean man, clean party.
These professionals turned politicians are trying to bridge the gap by relying on their group of young volunteers. But the difference in outlook and mutual disdain threatens to make it a case where the twain shall not meet.
A Congress worker or a BJP worker, any political party worker has gone through this organizational mill for a quite number of times, say a couple of decades. He has seen many elections. They are street smart. Now, because of some reason, some factor, you bring in somebody from other walks of life and make him candidate, you are depriving a party worker. I am not mentioning any one political party, it happens in all political parties. You are depriving a political party worker who has nursed that ambition of contesting the elections in one go, one stroke.
Then there is the worry over what message will go across if these clean candidates are taken to the cleaners by their more seasoned rivals. Already, Bangalore's political air is abuzz with behind-the-scenes deals being struck for transfer of votes from other smaller parties. The election will also test if these candidates are able to break the image trap they are in.
The new age politician is not too deeply rooted with the grassroots of democracy which you see in a city like Bangalore even. Because Bangalore does not live only in its big buildings and its palatial bungalows. Bangalore lives in its shanties as well. And the point is that anybody who's got grassroots umbilical connect with these shanties does better. So to that extent, while I welcome people of the new age politics entering politics, I do believe they're going to have a tough time convincing people at the grassroots level to say that, hey, listen, you must vote for me.
But for now, the latest entrants into electoral politics are not talking of a plan B yet, should they get Bangalore by their voters. The only B that figures in their plans for now is Bangalore.